Hi. I did say in my first energy update for October 2019 that this would be an explosive month and the energies would be very intense, quite reactive, quite defensive, and I'm sure many of you can concur with that conclusion. So we're ending October and we're going into a much lighter, a much more liberating November, I'm very happy to say. But you may find that it's important that as we conclude October 31st, Halloween energy, there is an overwhelming desire to complete, to honor and witness the endings of that timeline. Halloween, with those Scorpio energies, Scorpio season with its sting in its tail, is always a time of the year of endings, of completions. And endings often bring grief and bring a grieving experience with those endings. So if you're feeling sadness at the moment, if you're feeling unexplained upsurges of heavy or strong emotion, I invite you to embrace that and to really be present in this in this generous present moment and allow yourself to feel those emotions as they come up. I felt the endings really strong in the last week of October, and I felt the grief for those endings and understanding that as we go into November, the 2020 vibrations, that new fresh timeline in the fifth dimensional space is absolutely in full play. And with that, out goes all the old ways, old ideas, old relationships, friendships, work titles, identities, your old identity. Perhaps you've had a label on yourself as such a person, such a body, and you're ready now to let that label wash away into the past waves, blow away into the past winds. And even though we didn't particularly maybe like those labels, or we found those labels disdainful, or maybe you loved that label, maybe you really identified with that, maybe it was a joyful label that your ego just loved, that people saw you that way. Or maybe it was a disdainful one that you really detested and you really didn't like. We still have to grieve that old way of being, because what's familiar, even if it's painful, even if we don't like it, it's familiar. And the body and the ego mind likes familiarity. It likes sameness. It likes what is known. And as we go through this river of change on a deeper level, into November, into fresh new territory, what is known is gone. And now we're entering very much the unknown, what is not known, what is not experienced or understood in this lifetime, in this consciousness on Gaia right now. And if you look at my previous videos, I've talked about how the earth has reset many, many times. The earth has destroyed itself, broken down, killed itself, destroyed, destruction, And there was a need then for a new earth to start. But this is the first time that the earth has not gone into destruction mode in order to elevate its vibration, in order to raise its consciousness. So we really should be giving ourselves a pat on the back at this time, because we are part of the new earth that didn't need to self-destruct in order to start over, but actually stayed in these bodies, in this timeline, moving through the death process while staying in a physical body, and Gaia staying present as she is, allowing herself to birth this new 5D consciousness. And the reason a lot of sensitives, super sensitives, empaths feel sadness, grief, depression, anxiety around the Halloween timeline, around the 31st of October, is because many of you were on Atlantis. Many of you are part of the Atlantean consciousness, and Halloween is the anniversary of the beginning of the destruction of Atlantis. If you're not familiar with Atlantis, you may want to Google that, research that. We have Atlantean timelines of Earth, we have Lemurian, we have there's many conscious civilizations that ruled and that populated Earth at different times. But Halloween is that ending, is that destruction. And the Atlantis destruction was a self-destruction, as is all destruction. All death is a soul decision. The Atlanteans were highly evolved beings, and they were a mix of different races. There was different species of Atlanteans. You had the giant people, you had really, really petite, little, small, more elemental, fairy-like people. There was many healers, shamans, empaths, crystal healing. Crystals was a big thing in Atlantis, as was the elements of earth, air, fire, and water. And technology was so advanced, far beyond what we understand now. But that technology was then used in a negative, destructive, segregative way that led to the destruction of Atlantis, which happened by a huge tsunami, which basically destroyed Atlantis and the people of that timeline. So many of us actually have psychic memories of that, or else it's just a subconscious recognition of that beautiful civilization that had so much enlightenment in it, healing and love, but actually ended up not making the right choices and abusing that beautiful power until it self-destructed. So that's why a lot of people do feel a dip in energy around Halloween. There's also the issue as vibrational beings that we're not getting the sunlight. I mean, this is the first time in my videos this year, well, not this year, but since the summer has passed, that I can really see a dramatic difference in the light. I've done everything to create this video to be as bright as possible, and it's just because it's dark outside. It's dark by 4:30 in the evening. So we're working with unnatural light now, and you can really see the difference in the quality of the visuals just by having that beautiful summer sun light up. The video really makes a difference, but we have to adapt to the seasons and the energies, and we have to be flexible in our creativity, and that's why I'm just working with what is. So let's talk about the energies of November. Energies don't follow a calendar. You know, we're not following a man-made calendar system, but there are certain times a year that do sync up with certain openings or vortexes. And definitely the last few weeks have been volatile and changeable. And if you haven't completed the lessons from the last few weeks, you'll find that some of those messy themes, being reactionary, feeling a lot of anger, a lot of resentment, or that deep sadness, that grief, you might feel it kind of filter through into the next few weeks. So remember, it's not the energies outside happening to you. This is how we process the energies. And you get to decide how you digest and integrate those energies. And you get to decide when you're ready to complete that circle and to move on into the lighter, brighter energies that November has to offer cosmically with the way the planets are and everything. Now, we are going into a Mercury retrograde, so that's always fun. So the retrogrades always help us to slow down. And even if we don't want to slow down, if the ego is insisting on productivity and push, 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 pull, 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 we have Mercury retrograde there telling our bodies, our minds, our consciousness to slow down and to take a breath and to reflect, review, renew our energies. So I always say it's best to work with the flow, you know, move with the energy, move with the flow of the tide. When we push against something, all we do is what you resist persists. We just get it smacked back stronger in our face. So, you know, it's better for you if you make peace with the slowing down of the Mercury retrograde influence. That doesn't mean that we are at the mercy of the planets and the cosmos, because we certainly are not. That is not what this energy update is about. We are working with nature. We are working with the seasons, with the flow, with the energy. What else would you like me, Spirit, to say? A message for whoever is watching this video right now. Okay. We've got the big theme of staying in your power. Very important as we come to the end of this year. You know, can you believe it? We're going into the 11th month. And 11 is very much the angelic frequency, the angelic number. So as we enter the ending, the conclusion of the 12-month cycle, it's important that we stay in our power and that we don't get pulled into politics. We don't get, whether that's family, work, romantic politics, it's very important we stay true to our intention, which is to be clear, to be loving, and to be a channel of peace. So not getting swept up in the drama that surrounds you, knowing that if there's a hurricane going on around you, you can stay in the eye of the storm and be safe. And the eye of the storm is in your own power. That's the safest place to be in a hurricane, right in the center. So stay centered. Another message I'm getting just right now is about forgiveness. Perhaps it's for the self, but I'm also feeling strongly there's somebody who you have a lot of resentment to, who you have a lot of really old hurt, and you're just fed up carrying that wound, that scab, that itch around with you. You know, when our wounds start to seal up and the skin knits together, it can be itchy and we can want to scratch it. And it's important that we don't scratch it, because when you scratch that itch, you actually can make the knitted skin burst open again and you can reactivate the wound. So I'm being shown the symbol of just leaving that alone, you know, just ignoring the itch, and, you know, distract yourself in a positive way. Do something beneficial for yourself. Go for a walk. Ring a friend that makes you laugh. Take a lovely hot salt bath and pop some quartz crystals in there to keep your energy clear. These are all, empowering ways we can take out our toolbox and we can use our tools to feel better. For me, I love going for a run. Going for a run is such a mental treat. I really feel that all the focus on, climbing up that hill, my heartbeat pounding makes me feel alive, and the deep breaths that you're taking with your cardiovascular system just take you out of your head and into your body. So, that's really, really good as well, for helping us to be present. So talking about the present moment, and the present moment is the miracle moment. When we are outside of the presence, we are running a program. If you wake up in the morning and you're reaching for your phone and that has your attention and you're letting your focus go into an external playground, an external circus of chaos, you are connecting your energy to that chaos. When you choose to wake up in the morning and to be kind to yourself and to rest and to choose that you, the soul you, gets to choose what your intention for the day is going to be, that's very, very different vibration that you're setting up. You are setting the tone. I strongly advise my clients not to keep a phone in their bedroom. Leave your phone downstairs away from you. It's giving off EMS signals. It's also a distraction. And also scientifically they've proven that when the phone is around you, whether it's in your pocket in your jeans or if you're going for a walk and it's in your bag, you're not actually switching off your stress mind. The monkey mind is waiting or is on alert for the clicking and clanking of the notifications on your phone. So I strongly advise you to consider a digital detox, which is fantastic. I can't recommend it enough, where you just totally leave the phone aside, leave it alone, and you don't use screens, you don't look at the TV, you don't search on the internet, you just put those things aside for a few days and you give your brain, give your mind a rest. That's really, really important. Now, a Mercury retrograde is perfect for a digital detox because Mercury retrograde affects communication, and it often affects electrical devices like our computers, our phones, our laptops. So it's a great time to say, okay, things are slowing down. Electrically, we're going to be challenged. Communications are challenged. There's often mix-ups during the Mercury retrograde. Things get misinterpreted. You have to be really clear with your communication, especially during a Mercury retrograde. And text messages can get us into trouble, as we all know. So it's a good time. It's a very pertinent time to take a break from the digital world, social media, etc., and give yourself that peace of mind. And it does. I've noticed when I'm disciplined with my screen time, I am a much happier person. Being out in nature, balancing out that is really important. Also, if you're living in a city, there's a lot of EMS signals being pumped into the atmosphere around you. Talk of 5G coming in, which just is, I don't feel that 5G is a good thing at all, but that's another day. We do need regular trips in organic settings, being by the sea, walking barefoot on the ground, being in the woods to balance out those EMS signals. It's really, really important. What else have I got to say to you in this little guided message for you today? Okay. In my previous 2 videos, I talked about pain, and I talked about making sure that you're not carrying pain for other people. They're very, very powerful messages. I highly recommend you look at those videos. It's about the pain body, and it's about how as empaths we can often take on other people's pain or try to save them from their pain. And the core of that message was that when you try to stop, prevent, or save somebody from their pain, from their issues, you actually deny them spiritual growth. You deny them the ability to strengthen themselves and being able to know that they can work through their own stuff. Now, that doesn't mean we don't support people and that we don't show compassion. And we do that in abundance because we are high sensitives and that's what we want to do. And that's just who we are. We care. I always say to people, you know, clients often say, wow, like, how did you do that? How did you, it's like you know, use your magic to make me feel better. And I say, well, my superpower is that I care. I genuinely care. Okay. So it's important that we don't allow our caring nature to be abused. Because there are people who will see that you care and they might try to use you as a puppet or as a pawn. And they might use you in you know, work politics or family politics. And it's very important that we don't become the puppeteer because we don't want to hurt people, because we want to save them from themselves. You can't save someone from themselves. They're here to acquaint themselves with themselves. They are here to learn everything that they can about their soul journey in this lifetime. So it's important you don't interfere with that, but love them, support them, you know, cheer them on. But at the end of the day, we have to allow each other to grow and to grow from within. It's all about what happens within. As within, so without, as above, so below. And I really feel that the power theme ties in with that as well. Don't get your power from saving people. Get your power from yourself. Get your power from source. Reconnect to source. Reconnection is where true organic power comes from. So I'm going to leave it there. Please give this video a thumbs up. It helps me to know that there's someone listening and that, you know, that these videos are worthwhile for you and that I only want to contribute something that's of benefit. So thank you and blessed be.